Well, hello everyone. You have right here, talk about right here, talking about the, as far as it goes with like understanding about how couples connect. If it's supposed to be talking about anything about what you call is that for knowing about for what it's like just to be able to become it's like connected with somebody and necessarily, but the talk about right here, I'll talk about if a being a little brother is considered to be a job. And you have right here are some of these this Photoshop work right here I want to put together right here. But it seems like that if anybody were to say that if we were to ask the question to her that talking about if it's anybody in particular that you may know or that maybe if you're close friends with, and just thinking as to where that you use I would use that for a word or phrase of talking about for little brother. And if it's talk about for marital status or anything like that, that likely wanted to where that okay, little. I'm like, yeah, little brother. And if anybody were wanted to where okay, can we maybe use like little cousin as a phrase, or what you call the sister-in-law or the brother-in-law, or I'm like, yeah, that what we call little necessarily. So it seems like that whenever you're going to be starting a conversation, that you're going to go ahead and add in like a subverb or a noun or a phrase or a complete sentence on a question. And one of those is maybe going to be as to where, okay, yeah, little brother. Is little brother considered a job? And like say, so say that again, like an oh, you heard, like, yeah, if somebody asks, it's like, yeah, jobs that are basically, it's like, yeah, for what is required just to get a job. And, like we wanted toward it, is for being a little brother, is being a little brother considered a job? Is that a job? And like say, well, job, like, are you talking about the ball player job, or are you talking about a sporting type job, or for newspapers? What sorts of job are we talking about? I'm talking about the type of career that nobody's going to hire somebody over the matter because, like, yeah, just for being literal, if you're going to be what you call one one of the, you say, so far as if we want to call it like the family members go, it's like if you're going to be one of the oldest, from the youngest, and then from one of the old, one of the middle oldest, to the big oldest. So you're going to have maybe a big brother or a little sister or a big sister. So you're going to have it to where that going by the research to where that there's any cousins. Yeah, if you're going to have a younger cousin who you might like, yeah, if anybody knows exactly what I'm talking about, to where you're going to maybe ask the question to where that a type of degree that nobody else really understands what it is, and maybe nobody else has. So let's just say that if I was one of the only family members of other people I have talked to who likes to do a lot of artwork, and maybe who likes to do a lot of lettering, and then maybe advertising, and so far as doing creative skills, and you're going to learn to where okay, little brother. I use the word of phrase is not really like a related type of relationship. Mainly, if we're talking about the type of support, you say, is that what I mean by little brother? Which means it's by that really nobody else in the family really took a career of so far as drawing and painting and designing, like I took it. So if anybody say, yeah, if you decide to be a doctor, but then nobody else in the family really took their passion to go into that field. If they become veterinarians or nurses or pediatricians or engineers or whichever. But talk about right here for like little brother. So if we're going to ask the question to where that okay, is being a little brother considered a job? So I could say that a job. You want to ask the question again? Is it a job? Oh, well, a job, like the type of job are we referring to? I'm talking about that the relations. If you're not related to somebody, and maybe that they're going to ask you to, or why so interested in my research, and maybe that you're going to maybe say something like, because I want to be a little brother, to that, to the member or something like, yeah, the little brother member or something like that. I usually call it the little brother. And so if anybody were wanted to wear it, exactly what does that mean necessarily, little brother? Like, they might be looking for maybe something like, for a first-time learner or a senior, senior at the lab center or something like that, or maybe that if you're going to be what you call the assistant or the secretary or something like that, but instead you're going to maybe hear little brother. So like I say, yeah, little brother means to you, it means, little brother means to me, so far as that, nobody else has heard of my degree and study other than for what I do. And, that you're going to maybe have, a cousin or somebody who's going to maybe warrant to where that, for being a little brother, that maybe a lot of us, friends and family, those who know you best, they're going to maybe say is to where that the job is nearly 80%, 80%, for what you can do. And if anybody who really want to hire you for any reason at all for doing that source of a study, doing that source of work, and maybe they would ask you. But still, though, that how can we really explain about what we call little brother? And yeah, little brother, if we all know what little brother basically means, it means is that, you are what you call one of the third or fourth, youngest, compared to a few of the other siblings, or it could also, if anybody or wanted to wear how could it be known as a career? How could it be known as a job? And so it's like, yeah, that whenever you first start talking about something, and then it seems like questions come around a lot of times, and you're likely worried toward it. I usually say it is like so far as support. Is little brother a job? And you're like, really? It is, despite about, for how much that you really love that person and, as far as their degree goes. But on the other hand, too, no, as far as that, this other person who, even though if you're not related to them, why should they do any work for you? So it seems like that, that during a job interview, if somebody's going to ask that question to her, that besides, why should we hire you then compared to hire this other person? But let's just say if the question goes by as to where, is a little brother considered a job? Well, so far as being a little brother to the company, I am willing to, show the amount of work that I'm able to do so far as designing work and so far as my degree goes. Nobody else, you say, comes in here between the hours of maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, a.m. or so, just to be, just to sit down and wait and just to talk about is toward it. Yeah, little brother. Being a little brother, is that considered a job or not? Half the time I do one or two that, being a little brother, does that make you so little, or does that just make you, you're mature enough really just to answer the questions clearly and knowing about, about the whole purpose about the job. But so if anybody were wondering toward it, being a little brother. Being a little brother, that I guess you say that, if anybody were wanted toward it, that if you want to have the job and want to know about what all that you got to do just to be, are people really going to pay you, or are they going to go ahead and so, are people really going to need you to, be this little brother, have a position of a little brother, just to what you call just because that there's something about what you do that that the company needs. So they might call it maybe freelancer work or just salary pay, maybe for 4 weeks, but you may also call it little brother just because that for it's like a nickname. Yeah, it's like a nickname that if anybody say that you give yourself a nickname. And, nicknames are basically assigned to you just by the friends and family that know you best. But still, that at the time you weren't too, that while I was sleeping, that sometimes it seems like that knowing about what names people are calling me necessarily, such as to where is a nickname considered to be, how come your nickname is not on your driver's license? So, yeah, people are going to ask me questions like, How come your nickname is not on your driver's license? How come it's not on your degree? How come your nickname is not on your degree, Matt? Yeah, it don't need to go on my degree. My name is on my degree, and so far as the school I went to and how much I know about using the software programs, but the way I think about it too, that if anybody asks us to her, is it a job necessarily? And they say that, if you want to go ahead and ask in slow motion to her that, is being a little brother, considered, being a little brother considered a job? Being a little brother a job? So I say, being a little brother, is being a little brother a job? And they're likely to say that, what answers do you think that you'll be able to get? You see. But still, though, that talking about, for like a little brother, I say that if that's a job, then how many people do you think that would want it? You don't want it because the job I'm talking about is more likely, the postal dispatch and the newsletters and stuff like that. Like newsletters? Like, what do you do? So yeah, the job I'm referring to mainly is about designing work, maybe putting together a newsletter and maybe putting up postal ads. I'm like, yeah, something that has to do with lettering and then media, news media, if you want to call it press, the press or something like that. But like anybody say that back whenever you were younger, that the first job that you thought that you were going to get was rolling newspapers. Rolling newspapers, yeah. But let's just say that the first job that you're going to get so far as your designing work is maybe going to be developing, news media, like papers, especially, New York Times, or if it's the Postal Dispatch, you're going to go ahead and publish newspapers. And people are saying that, yeah, well, that's a job that a little brother can use. Yeah. Like, well, what kind of little brother are we talking about? And, you were too, is there a, Matt, is there like a little memory stick mini, that what we call a little brother? What else do you call a toolkit? Yeah, a toolkit. Can you use a toolkit as a phrase for a little brother? So it seems like, yeah, people are going to maybe ask the questions and bring up a topic and say that, yeah, can I use this as like a phrase for a little brother? But the type of phrase I'm talking about, like anybody, like I was telling anybody, but talking about that for marital status, though, that, if you're going to be meeting somebody in particular, and let's just say if you were classmates with them at one time, and they're going to maybe ask you, this girl is going to maybe ask me yeah, well, what one thing do you like about me necessarily, and why you take interest in it, and maybe being friends with me, and maybe the first answer I'm going to probably give them is because I want to be a little brother to you. Wow, you want to be a little brother to me? Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You want to be a little brother to me? We're not even related. Yeah, it seems like it goes by the beginning of what you call the whole romantic, if you want to call it the romantic touch, to where that you see somebody in your class or see somebody at work, and then let's just say that what the connection goes. But the way I think about it too, that whenever you're young, and basically that for how everything went, I'm like, yeah, you meet somebody in class. And maybe that, I know, been there before too, to where that you're going to be shy or nervous, really just to tell them exactly why you want to talk to them. But the first thing that you're going to maybe ask them is to where that, you want to go out and, get a coffee together, or, have lunch together at some time. And they're like to say, well, that's all right. I'm like, I don't know what for. So you're going to start the conversation by inviting them to do something or asking them to do something with you, and they might, that person may not know exactly what it's for, but it's like, yeah, and you kind of tell them the silly, situation to where that, yeah, hey, how you doing, Angel? Like an Angel, are you talking to me? Like an well, you remind me a little bit, yeah, and then you're going to maybe tell them, too, that I want to be a little brother to you. And so it's like, yeah, that most girls are going to maybe word to word that what does it mean whenever guys tell the gals that they want to be a little brother to them? even though if you're not really related. But let's just say, if that's supposed to be a comment, or if that's supposed to be where, say, a word or phrase is showing about how much that you care for them, and how much that you love them, and how much that you respect them. But sometimes, though, it seems like that, yeah, that I include this right here. This right here would be like I say, a headband or something like that. It's like a crown. Like, say, yeah, little princess, I want to be a little brother to you. I didn't think that little brother was a job. But, still, that the first impression that they're going to maybe word to her, okay, whatever, okay, whatever. But, still, that talk about what most gals, what their reactions are going to be whenever you tell them something like that. Oh, yeah, just walk up to the gal and say that I want to be a little brother to you. Are you saying that, yeah, what I'm saying is to her that I want to support them to get to know them a little bit more. So it's like, yeah, is little brother, is being a little brother, is that a job, or if that's just what you call the show of support? I usually look at it as like a show of support also, but I mainly look at it as like the word or phrase is so far as, for a career. So if anybody say that, yeah, that other friends and family that you do know, that not very many of them know exactly what this digital career, what it means, what this web stuff, what this internet stuff means. Nobody knows what this paint stuff and clip art means. So I guess if you're like the only one in the family, or nobody else that really even knows exactly about what you're doing, so it seems like that I want to look at that as little brother, because little brother, the one, the one who's much younger than I am, yeah, he's an artist and he knows a lot about computers. But you're also one to choose to where that you kind of look at that as a job, mainly because that how other people look at it. Other people look at it as like that they never heard of it. He or she never heard of it. So whenever you mention that to them, oh, digital design, you tell other people who are in the marketing group, you tell them about it. Well, we don't know too much about designing. We know a lot about marketing, and so far as sales, they say, so far as insurance, they say, but retail goes, but, that we don't know very much about designing stuff. But, so how many of those, fashion design, and how many ladies are going to be familiar with fashion design, huh? So far as fashion design, what sorts of artwork can you do with makeup? Yeah, makeup. What sorts of artwork can you really do with makeup? And that might be the next question that the gals are going to ask, as to where that is little brother a career, and so far as can you really show some sorts of art using makeup? Yeah, well, what type of art are we talking about? I'm talking about the makeup to where that you put the makeup on, and I guess you're going to look at it, kind of like modeling, and you take pictures of if you take you want to take pictures, and then you have somebody take a picture of you while you're wearing this makeup, and then you posted it maybe in the catalogs as like different poses and which one do you like best, that sorts of stuff. I guess if you want to call it modeling. But the little brother I'm talking about is mainly about a degree that nobody else has. So it's like, that for what you like about it, what you really like about it, but it seems like that I've said it a number of times to where that whenever you do talk to other people, and you'll likely wonder to where that what are you gonna say if one of them comes up to you and asks you about why all of a sudden interested in what I'm doing? Well, I want to be a little brother to you. Like, you want to be a little brother to me? Well, what do you mean? Like, well, I didn't know that was a job, and I didn't know that you could really phrase that. And so I say a way to say that you're interested in what we're doing here at the business, or here at the company. Here at the company, that we're not even, here at the company, we're not really, we don't say stuff like, you want to be a little brother or little sister to the company. What you would say more likely is the skills for what you do, Matthew. Like, yeah, but the skills I do. It seems like to where that, whenever you start job searching, it seems like, that the first thing that you may think about necessarily to where how well that you want to know the company, before that they're introduced to the skills, because quite a few people they're confused about whenever I tell them the skills that matter, such as working web development and so far as working with the Adobe programs and computer programs and using the internet. And maybe not very many people really know about that, but you just want to call that like a short word of phrase. So far as little brother, little brother, I don't know what this means by, yeah, okay, little brother. Are you the youngest of the family, or are you just using that word or phrase as to where like little, because you don't look that little to me. But, still, that if anybody were to say, if you're going to be on a date or some sort, then you might miscommuse that as to her that, people call you little brother, and I don't know why, but, can you explain to me a little bit about what you're talking about? So, yeah, a lot of times during the conversations, if it's going to maybe at dinner at a cafe or restaurant, or maybe out if you're going to be going out with somebody, maybe for some coffee or tea or something like that, or maybe for a glass of lemonade or something. Like anybody say, yeah, a glass of wine, maybe for a glass of red wine or something like that, you're going to go out for maybe for a drink, or maybe for an ice cream, and they're going to maybe ask you, what did you mean by little brother? Well, I mean by is toward the degree that I have that nobody else has heard of, and then for how much I show that I care about about my work in general, that I use that phrase as so far as how much I support the situation. So anybody who's struggling with anything really, if it's relationship or if it's about anything else in particular. Yeah, you may not be related to somebody, but how can you use, so far as a word of phrase, little brother, as like another word of saying that you care, even though if you're not related? But still, though, that I usually look at that as to where a degree that I have that not very many people are familiar with. So whenever they're not going to be very familiar with it, and then that's whenever they're going to be like, good luck to you for whatever that you find. So far as your future goes, good luck finding a job. But still, though, that I could tell anybody here, nearly 85% of a lot of the family and friends who support me, that a lot of times it seems like that the first question they're going to ask is about, what sorts of job do you think that people are going to hire you for? And it seems like that, it all seems to start by a social media blog page, or it could also be emails. But then, on the other hand, it could be as to where that meeting somebody in person, and meeting somebody in person could also be as to where that I want to be a little brother to the company. And you're going to say that, okay, whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah, and you also mentioned marital status. Are you two connected? Or is that just like, yeah, so that's another long story too. So if anybody were asked as to where that, how did you meet this person? Yeah, we all got long stories, yeah, but let's just say the long story that I start talking about will be as to where that, that this person has been following my designs, okay? Yeah, that person, that girl right there, she's seen my artwork on the studio wall. It was on the website actually, and she found it, and let's just say 2 years later, she actually meets me in person. So I also look at it as to where that how many of us, can maybe use that word or phrase as to where that, you bought your own affair. You bought your own affair. You bought your own affair. So what does that mean? That, this lady that, she bought one of your artwork nearly 2 years ago, but then she finds out 5 years later that you were designer of that artwork. So does that make sense now? I can say that again? This lady bought my artwork 2 years ago, but then at 5 years later, she meets me in person. And so now it's like she met the designer, even though if she didn't know that I was the designer of that artwork, then that's what I call, somebody bought their own affair. That's how they connected. Whenever the client meets the designer, and then whenever the designer meets the client, and then that's basically about how the connections work. So it seems like that's basically, if I say that, little brother, huh? That's how this whole story connects, and that's how you use that word or phrase, is to where, is the little brother a job? Well, it seems like a job whenever somebody does something else that maybe that you didn't expect either. Really, how is it supposed to be a surprise if you already know about it, huh? Really, if anybody asks that question also, how is something considered a surprise if somebody already knows about it? But still, really, but how are you going to be able to surprise? Yeah, how can you surprise somebody without lying, huh? How can you surprise somebody without lying? But anyway, thanks for watching. Talk about for a little brother. Is a little brother considered to be a job? Well, it seems like you have to have a number of clients really asking the questions, and like we say that, how does it all start? You ask the questions, and yeah, is it really, the little brother's job really to answer the questions? But it seems like, yeah, answer the questions, yeah, it's a job. But if there's really just no case at all, then no, it's not a job. But on the hand, too, that's something to consider. Like I say, keep an idea for what comes up. But anyway, this is a show to support and then the love and matter. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.